everybody, welcome. So in this training, we're going to talk about how to get it out of your head and into the world. These are 4 tools for multiplying your time. So the best way to think about this is to think about cupcakes. So what do I mean by that? Some of us in the hacking music community may be familiar with cupcakes, but I'm going to back up and give some context here. The cupcake hack is this. There's 3 levels. There's cupcakes, there's birthday cakes, and there's the big bad wedding cake. Cupcakes are quick, couple ingredients, 20 or 30 minutes, and you can eat them. Or you can throw them away if they stink, right? They're easy. These are cupcakes, right? As we move on, we move to birthday cakes. So birthday cakes have more ingredients. It may take an hour or 2 to make a birthday cake. You got to make the frosting. And just a little more expertise, right? It's not as simple as the cupcake, right? You have to be a little bit more of a intermediate, not expert, but you need to know your stuff, right? And then if we think about a wedding cake, my goodness, these things are 3 levels, awesome frosting, taste great. They got the little people on them. Takes a lot of expertise. You got to move them. You got to be careful not to let them fall. Very expensive. You don't want to mess up a wedding cake, right? So these 3 modes of cupcake, birthday cake, or wedding cake, you want to think about projects you're going to be taking on as an artist and entrepreneur, right? It's super common for beginning artists to get comfortable with cupcakes. But what happens is a lot of times you can get stuck just making cupcakes. You never develop the muscle and the experience and the confidence to do a birthday cake or to do a wedding cake. You know, you're just kind of stuck in that cupcake lane. So what we're going to do today in this training is we're going to talk about 4 tools to multiply your time, to give you some strength and confidence and to build some muscle around your projects as you move from cupcake to birthday cake to wedding cake. So this is all about projects, confidence, and kind of getting the ideas, the things you have in your head, to get them into the world. So the context here for artists and creatives and entrepreneurs is this: that recently 51% of all artists who won Grammys were independent artists. So that's important for a couple reasons. First is that artists just aren't interested in signing and slaving out to an international conglomerate. Okay, it may make sense for a couple artists, but for an increasing amount, they want to be in control. Artists are entrepreneurs, right? They're not stuck making cupcakes. Matter of fact, they can make a birthday cake, and some of them can make wedding cakes, right? So more and more artists are entrepreneurs, full stop, right? They're able to build their back end. They're able to understand their infrastructure, processes, automation. They're able to build a platform under their music and their experiences that they create, right? They're not just writing songs on their stool anymore. These are business entities with cap tables and org charts, right? So last year, 51% of artists were independent. And that's significant, but over the next coming years, we're going to see 60 to 70% of artists who just build their businesses themselves. And that's what we do at Hacking Music. That's why we're here. So this idea of getting it out of your head and into the world is important, because as artists and entrepreneurs, you're making cupcakes one day, next day you're making a birthday cake, and the next day you're making a wedding cake, or maybe you're stacking them. And you've got swim lanes that we're going to talk about here in a little bit. Maybe you're doing cupcakes and you've got a birthday cake happening. Or maybe you've got all 3. You're making cupcakes, quick things. You're also making birthday cakes in parallel. And also underneath that is the wedding cake. So you're moving across swim lanes together and you have alignment across your projects. So that's, we always want to ask, what is the world we're living in? And that's the world we're living in. 51% of artists that won Grammys last year are independent artists. So let's look at some commonalities, some people that you may be familiar with. 3 common people types, right? So You may know the person who sounds like this. They have a real hard time getting anything into the world. Okay. Sometimes they self-sabotage. They're really good at overthinking, and they're probably perfectionists. They say, I don't want to do anything unless it's perfect, right? So we want to give this person, the artist who can't get anything into the world. They're always kind of getting tripped up and they overthink things. We want to give them some tools here with these 4 tools for multiplying their time and getting things out of their head and into the world. That's the first person. The second person is the artist who gets some things into the world, right? Maybe they're really good at writing songs, right? That's the fun stuff, the thing that they're good at. They can get that into the world, but they can't get anything else. The e-commerce or the platform pieces or the team stuff underneath them. They just really kind of good at one thing, one trick ponies, right? We call it making the baby. They want to make the baby, but they can't raise the baby. So artists need to be really good at raising the baby, turning that into a career, a 10, 15, 20-year career, rather than just make, right? So we want to give this person some tools. The person that's can put some things into the world, but he can't really put the support system underneath it. And the third person is the person who can get many things into the world. We want to give them some tools to really max this out and get more of what they're already doing. We want to help them get more into the world. So those are the 3 types of people you may be familiar with. The person that can't get anything into the world, that's stuck in their head, overthinking and over emotionalizing stuff, and the person that gets some things into the world, and the person who gets many things into the world. Okay. So let's get clear on what we call 2 worldviews. And so let's look at developing artists and headliner artists. So developing artists, this is like the first 3 to 4 years of their career. These are at the bottom. They're developing, and then above that is deploying and dominating at the top. These are the first 3 years of their career at the bottom. So developing artists are commonly found chasing kites. What do I mean by that? Chasing kites is a metaphor for following other people. They're really good at tracking what other people are doing and getting excited about that, but they can't really mount their own initiatives. Okay? These people often turn into like professional fans. They can't do anything for themselves, but they're really good at following other people. So that's chasing kites. They're also commonly found putting out fires. They're, kind of in emergency mode. Their hair's on fire. They got to just get their stuff done right now. That's super common for developing artists. So we want to give them some tools to focus better around that and get more strategic. Often the developing artists are imitating what you hear in the chaos. Maybe they've spent 4 hours on YouTube listening to people thumping their chest who have never really done anything. So they're good at imitating. That's really common with developing artists. And often they work hard and not very smart. Okay. So this is what we call the external scorecard. They're following other people's initiatives. They don't really have a compass. They don't have a true north. They don't have a strategy, and they're not able to mount campaigns, maybe a 60-day campaign or 90-day campaign or a year campaign. They're not able to do that. So these people with the external scorecard, they're stuck making cupcakes. They can just, put out fires, chase other people's initiatives, try to work hard. And this is the chaos mode, right? They're kind of golfing in the dark and they don't really have a rudder. Okay. So this is the developing artist, right? So the next worldview is the headliner artist, and how they think very differently. The headliner artist understands priorities. They understand that not everything is essential today. Not everything's important today. And they have a way of ranking their priorities. They're able to spot failures. They've failed in the past. It's called fail fast, learn fast, right? And they're able to really spot failures within their team and their projects. And sometimes they can be meanies because they know they've learned the hard lessons 2 years, 5 years, 10 years ago, and they refuse to make those mistakes again, right? So they're able to spot failures. Headliner artists are also able to focus. They're able to see that goal on the horizon, whether it's a 6-month goal or a year goal. They're able to focus and get the right things done. Headliner artists are also able to finish. They know how to get the ball into the end zone, right? They know the steps to get there. They're able to hit their goals, right? And often headliner artists have a culture of achievement, right? They like to celebrate the wins. It's like a sports team, right? They want to get to the Super Bowl, and they're going to do everything they can to get to the Super Bowl because it's fun, right? Headliner artists also work smart, right? They don't exhaust themselves. They don't burn themselves out. They don't make their heads explode. They work smart, which means they work smart personally. They work smart within their teams, and they have some processes and some tools to do this better. And mostly, and this is what I love the most, is they love to have fun, right? This is what we call gamification, and we go deep into this in the hacking music community. But for now, you want to think of it as a game, right? It's like Pokemon. You want to go out and find those pink orbs and capture the orbs, right? Gamification goes a lot deeper than that. But for now, just think of it as you want to turn work into fun. You don't have to do it. You want to do it. Okay. And this worldview of the headliner artist prioritizes, spots failures, focuses, finishing, hits his goals, culture of achievement, works smart, not harder, has fun. This is the internal scorecard, right? They decide the direction of their career. They're able to be intentional. They're able to put points on the board. They're able to hit their marks and make their days, and to be in the trenches and take the hill together with their team. They're not interested in chasing other people's kites. They're interested in flying their own kites. So this internal scorecard, the headliner artist with this worldview, is able to make cupcakes, able to make birthday cakes, and able to make wedding cakes and shift in between them and to stack them and to do projects with confidence. And authority is not the right word, but you've done it in the past. You're confident that you can do it again. Okay. So as we think about the developing artist worldview and the headliner artist, both of these artists are talented, right? It's not a question of which one's talented, but only one of these gets stuck, and that's the developing artist. So often the developing artist is more talented than the headliner artist, to be honest with you. Some headliner artists that we've worked with can't sing their way out of a wet paper bag, but they know how to prioritize, spot failures, focus, finish, hit goal, right? So if we think about it in the context of talent and the best musicians and the super talented people, those people aren't getting out there. Those developing artists aren't getting out there because they don't have this skill of getting things into the world. So that's the two worldviews, the developing artist worldview and the headliner artist worldview. So let's move into the 4 tools that we use to manage. We call it the giant hairball, right? There's all this stuff going on. There's immediate stuff. There's long-term stuff. There's all this stuff that's important. So how do we break it down? How do we manage it? How do we track it in a way that allows us to put points on the board and make our days every day? So let's look at what those tasks look like. So the first one is like daily tasks. These are the stuff you just got to get done today. Could be 10, 15, 20 things, right? Daily stuff, like a 24-hour window. Then there are sprints. It may take 2 weeks or 30 days. They're kind of longer projects, right? More like a birthday cake, right? They're medium. They're not quick and dirty. They're kind of take some time, right? The next tool we're going to talk about is the avoidance tool. Now, avoidance is interesting, and we'll go deep on this. We're going to do a week on each of these. So this will be in week 3. Avoidance is artists have an Achilles heel, and that Achilles heel is that they want to do the fun stuff rather than the stuff that builds a career, right? and they can avoid the stuff they don't like to do, the stuff they're not good at. And I get it. I've done it for years. I see artists doing it every day. But you can't build a career by avoiding your way into a career. You have to actually do those things because they add drag to what you're doing. Like you can't pass go, you can't collect $200 until you do that thing, the accounting or the spreadsheet or whatever it is you're avoiding, right? So avoidance is a big part of this, and we're going to talk about that in week 3. And week 4 is what we call ask. And ask, as you make cupcakes, you could probably do those on your own. But as you're making birthday cakes, you might need some help. And as you're making wedding cakes, you definitely need a team around that. So ask is the relational part of work, right? It's how you build teams, how you introduce yourself to new people. It's how you work smart and not hard. You can't do all this together. The giant hairball is too much for one person. Full stop, 1000%. Tattoo it on your forearm. Read it every day, right? One person can't do this. Lone Rangers, what do they say? Pioneers take the bullets and the settlers take the land. Well, these are pioneers. They're going to just take the arrows, right? So ask is really important as you build teams and ask for help. Build allies, build board of directors around what you're doing. It's the human, it's the relational part of work, right? All right, so daily tasks, we call that super high value tasks, and we're going to talk about that today. Sprints, we're going to talk about that. We call it swim lanes, and it's a different tool. That's tool number 2. Avoidance, that is what we call aptly so avoidance, right? Okay, ask, we're going to call that ask. So those are the 4 tools: super high value tasks, swim lanes, avoidance, and ask. So with that, let's look at an example from here in our office. It looks like this. This is a real example of these 4 tools. And this is on a marker board, and we're able to do all 4 of these tasks with one marker board. And this is actually part of a book that is coming out called Action Wins that allows you to kind of track all your projects with one sheet of paper. So this is what it looks like. Up here in the corner is our super high value task. This is the 4 quadrants that we'll talk about in 1 second. Over here, quadrant 1 is the swim lanes. These are the priorities that we're working on that will take 2, 3, 4 weeks. Avoidance is down here on the bottom right, and ask is up here on the top left. Okay, so it's a way to do all 4 of these things in one place with real physical things. And we use Stickies. We'll talk about that in a little bit, but it's a way to track all the processes and progress with one document. So let's dive into the super high value task document. Here's what it looks like. So let's look at the super high value task. So what we do is we're just going to use the Haggy Music book as a backdrop here. What we do is we block off 4 quadrants, right? And this is super high value. And these are high value, okay? These are stuff we have to get done. These are low value, and these are no value, okay? So what we do is we do 3 of each, right? We say 1, 2, 3. And super high value, these are the most important things in your day. If you do these 3 items, if you complete these 3, if you get these orbs in Pokemon, you win the game, okay? So you want to take all the time you need to really think critically about, okay, what do I do today that really helps me win the day? If I ship a product or finish a page or write a song or produce a song, whatever it is, you sign an agreement, you do a deal, you bullet point an outline. What does winning the day look like? So if you do these 3 things, you absolutely celebrate, okay? And then underneath this is high value, right? This is the stuff that you need to get done, right? It's important to do. It's not super high value, but it's high value, right? This is more tasky stuff. This could be like returning phone calls or sending an email or social media posts. And then over here, you have low value. These are the things that you need to get done. Aren't really important, but you need to get them done, right? Could be shipping product, could be fulfillment, e-commerce, whatever. Low value tasks. You have to get them done, but they're not super important. They're not super high value. They're not high value. They're low value. And down here is no value. Okay. This is the stuff you want to avoid. And it's really common to avoid this section and just say, well, I don't want to just waste time. But what we've found is that it's really helpful to take the time to really specify those things that you want to avoid. Maybe it's, I don't know, eating crap food. Maybe it's going down rabbit holes on YouTube, right? Maybe it's jam sessions. I don't know, whatever they are for you and your team. But you want to be very specific, like, I'm going to avoid these 3 things today. Okay. So again, this is super high value. This is high value, low value, and no value. So this is what we call the super high value tool. Let me just show you like a printed out copy of this as well. This is what the pretty version looks like. And this is in the book, and all our community members get this as a printout in the field guide, the Hacking Music field guide. Looks like this, much prettier, much nicer. You can print these out, print 5 a week, and you get a shit ton done every week. So as we look at this, the big board, this has all 4 of the tools that we're going to talk about in this series. It's important to understand sticky notes, why we use sticky notes. So let's talk about these for a minute. You can obviously use digital tools, but we are big believers in sticky notes. This is like the super tool of the 20th century, these things right here. So why are these so important? These are important for a couple reasons. First off is that it allows us to see everything on our plate. Tool 1 up here on the right, swim lanes, all our tools, and it allows us to get up to God view, the 50,000-foot view, and look not only at your day, but it allows you to look at your month, it allows you to look at your relationships, and it allows you to look at your avoidance. So it's a really powerful way to pull up and get an integrated view of everything, all your priorities. Again, this is about flying your own kites, not chasing other people's kites. Benefit number 2 is it allows you to change your mind. You can move things around. Over here, we have things that that are not in action yet. These are the works in progress, and this is the backlog back here. So it allows you to change your mind. There's a lot of moving parts and a lot of information to this board. It allows you to move things around, and most importantly, it allows you to celebrate the win. As you finish things, it feels good, right? If you come back the next morning, you see, oh, wow, we got this done, or this moved over here, or there's actually motion going on. You're like a conductor conducting the orchestra rather than just that person making a cupcake, doing the same things every day because they don't have the tools to be a conductor. So those are a few reasons of why we use Stickies, and can't recommend it enough. You definitely want to start with Stickies. You may be able to go to digital 2 years from now, but I would love for you to use Stickies over the next 6, 9, 12 months. This is the super high value task. This is tool number 1 in the 4 tools that we're going to be talking about in this series of how to get out of your head and get things into the world. So we'll see you in the next session.